Hello and welcome to a special edition of the McGraw Report. I'm Harry McGraw, your host, and this is going to be our Get Out the Vote edition of the McGraw Report. I got my main man, Mr. William Riley, in the building via Zoom to pay attention to the meeting and give us some commentary on what's going on. And I just want to let everybody know we appreciate you tuning in to the McGraw Report each and every time. And I'm wearing my mask right now to remind people we still in a pandemic, okay?
Yeah.
So wear your mask. It's serious out here. If you're gonna vote by mail, that'll be very, very helpful right now. We're gonna talk a little bit about that because I know my man William is on the line. He's one of the radio personalities from the Kendall Moore Show that's on 1390 here in Chicago. And I want to thank you.
1690 AM.
Yes.
Kendall Moore Show.
1690. That's it. 16. Yeah. And I tell
West Side Will.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do, man. Now, we got 78 days until the election, man. About 78 days. And we already seeing some voter suppression moves already. You know, Trump is trying to, I don't know what you want to say, defund the Postal Service.
Defund the Postal Service.
I mean, he basically said on Fox that, you can't have universal mail-in voting because, they're not equipped to have it. And basically, they need that money in order to have a post office that works. So if you take the millions, you take the billions of ballots away, basically. So he's kind of admitting that that's what he's doing. Don't you think?
You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. That's a very, very difficult subject to kind of challenge, in the sense that I know we started mail-in voting just here in Illinois in 2014 during the campaign with Governor Quinn and Ronner, and Governor Quinn lost because of mail-in voting, and I think that's probably what he's thinking about as well. But there are pros and there are cons to that. So I understand how he might possibly feel. I thought it was kind of odd, but
Right.
And let me say this: I'm being totally bipartisan about this. I'm going to look at it from both sides. I got to give it to you honestly. You can do some things with the mail on both ends.
Hey,
so, now from what I understand earlier, because I live in the Austin area, there is a mailbox locked over on 5300 Carroll here in the Austin area. It has a red bar over it. You can't put anything into it. From what I understand, that has something to do with what Trump's doing, what the president is doing. I'm not sure yet. I'm still doing my research on it, but it's a mailbox located on the 5300 block of Carroll over here in the Austin area. So,
yeah. It's a real serious attempt. Now, the Department of Treasury had $10 billion in that last package that they had for the mail service, back in March.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to push it through to get the funding, and apparently they don't want to do it. Now, he hired this one guy, this dude, Louis DeJoy. He's the Postmaster General. That was one of his buddies, right? He used to donate a lot of cash to the campaign back in the day. Now you got his little favor, when he's in the spot. And he come in the dough slicing jobs. I mean, top 4-5 brass at the post office gone, man. Now, if that's not direct attack on services to make your mail slow, I don't know what is, man. I mean,
that is another thing too. I mean, he has that power to do that. You can say that is possibly what he's attempting to do, but he has the power to do that. And I think what we've been looking at is all the advantages that the president has, the type of power that the president has, and how far he can push the presidency, and in terms of that power. And that's basically what we've been looking at. So people need to now become more aware. of how the process works. I understand, we say, oh man, they do whatever they want to do and all this, but in the last 12 years, especially with the election of President Obama, who's now out of office, and now it's President Trump, people have become more politically astute, and they are noticing things now. So this is one of those moments where we realize what the president or what the presidency can do. And maybe there are some adjustments that can be made, but he is the president. It is suspect though.
Yeah,
I've been watching. I watch everything.
He gave about $360,000 to the Trump super PAC, just to let him know he's still in it to win it. So
yeah,
I think the man is on board when it comes to what Trump is doing. And he's the first postmaster general in 2 decades who never worked for the post office.
Yeah. Gave him that wink. He gives him that wink. But that's the thing. You can appoint people who don't have that type of experience as a president to run something. Benjamin Franklin, nepotism. We talk about nepotism. Benjamin Franklin started nepotism. Okay, he was the first postmaster general. And what he did was he hired his nephew, who was the postmaster general deputy, to help him run. You know why? Because he could trust his nephew.
That's right.
Nepotism. So that's where nepotism comes from. So they've been doing it ever since. And what I've been told in politics, and I don't have anybody in my family or my direct line in politics, but I've always been told, it's always friends or family. Somebody in there is related to somebody in there. So
right. It's always
so one way or another,
somebody that knows somebody.
And know somebody. So
well, just so I can tag the show, this is a special edition, Get Out the Vote edition of the McGraw Report. I got William Riley from the Kendall Moore Show on the line doing the things he's doing, man. I'm just so happy to have you on the show, man. And
I'm honored.
I'm really proud of what you've been doing, politically and socially, And I want to talk to you a little bit about this VP pick, man, Kamala Harris, man. Now,
all right.
This is a history-making move right here, where Joe Biden put her on the ticket. Now, did he have to do that because of North Carolina? I mean, we basically saved his ass in North Carolina. His whole campaign was on life support. And
South Carolina.
He South Carolina.
South Carolina.
The people down there in the Carolinas saved his ass, basically.
Oh yeah. Well, it was projected that he was going to take South Carolina in December of 2019. It was a report I had did on the show earlier when it was projected that he would take South Carolina and then he would sweep the rest of the primaries in. So I'm not surprised when it comes to his pick. Let me say this: I am proud that he picked a black woman, that he picked a person of color. Look, I think black people are going through a lot of things today. Okay?
Really?
We went through a lot of things today.
Yes.
To me, we deserve that spot. We deserve it. We have suffered for it. And I'm going to be honest with you, because I did say some things on the previous show. Like I said, I respect her. I think she somewhat brought a bag of controversy with her.
Are you talking about her record as state's attorney?
Yeah, and that was the thing. So I do support her. She was not my first pick. I'll say she was my second pick, but I'm glad she was picked.
She wasn't my first pick.
And it has nothing to do with her being a woman. I've been following Kamala Harris since 2012, 2011, and I actually sent my host, Kendall Moore, some emails the other day that I had received from her during 2012. When she was
like third for me. She was kind of like third for me.
Was she third for you?
There was a couple of people ahead of her to me.
See, I like her. It's just you have to question when you are an analyst and you're researching people's backgrounds. You have to question the other things they've done in office and why. That's my job as a scientist. I consider myself a political social scientist. I try to backtrack and break it down and come to my best reasoning of why that certain event happened at that certain time. Now, my reasoning, my thought processes are not canon. It's
Right.
not law. It's just opinion.
Right.
But if you trust me, if you trust my word, you agree with me, then that's okay. I'm just here to give you something to think about, though. I'm not here to pass judgment. Like I said, I do like the sister. Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to support the sister. I think we need
Oh
to get
yeah.
out and support her. You know,
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
so that's what's important to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that supporting her, regardless of your personal preference, is going to be key to winning this election. We can't be divided in any kind of way right now. We really have to be unified on our candidates. We have to be unified on our resolve to get out there and vote, whether it's mail-in ballots or standing in line and wearing a mask or whatever it is, because
Yeah.
this particular election is, to me, a big turning point in this country's history, without question. And if we can't seem to correct some of the wrongs that's been made, it might be a bumpy ride in 2021 for real. I really think so.
Yeah, because I've been watching this campaign from the beginning, and a lot of times people say, "Well, I'm not going to support this candidate. I'm going to support this candidate," and of course, we know what happened in 2016. Uh, Trump shocked the world like Ali shocked the world.
He sure did. He sure
And he
did.
shocked me. My mouth was open. I was like, huh? But
I
it
was,
just shows you, there's a term that is called Bradley. I don't know if everybody is familiar with that term. Tom Bradley was the mayor of Los Angeles in the early 1980s, first black mayor of Los Angeles. He was mayor for 4 years, and as it came time for his re-election, toward the end of his first 4 years, many people were saying we were going to vote. They were going to support Tom Bradley. And his numbers were very high and they looked very positive. However, come that election day, he lost. He lost tremendously. So they call it, so that what they were saying, what people were only saying that they were going to support him because just to keep the conversation down, just not to have the heated debate. So he only did 4 years as a mayor of Los Angeles, and they call that a Bradley. And that's what I'm hoping is not going to happen. I'm hoping that those numbers are sincere and legitimate. That we're hearing, and that they're just not polling a certain demographic, because we saw. Hey, I remember almost 4 years ago, Hillary was up was it 30 points? And I was like, wow. I'm like, well, she's gonna take this.
Well, they saying right now that Joe Biden's got a double-digit lead over Trump, according to the PBS NewsHour Meredith poll that they released on Friday, August 14th. So double digits is solid. I can kind of believe that right now.
But where are the double digits at? That's the question.
Again, that's a good point. Once you start drilling down from that 10% or that 12% or wherever they are, I really believe he got a little bit of a bump for picking Kamala. But after that, it's pretty much even Steven again.
Right.
That's how I look at it. Like, don't trust that. You know what I mean? You got to like, maybe he got a little bump from Kamala being on the ticket, but once that bump goes away, which, that's going to take about a 30-day cycle or so of the news. For Trump, maybe less, because, he always doing something every day. And pandemic, you never know how the shift's going to come. I say let's not lean on that. Let's go ahead and look at it like he's even with Joe Biden, and we got to knock on every door. We got to make a phone call. We got to get the information out there that this is not the guy you want to pick. If you do,
don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable.
Just stay home, man. Don't do it if you ain't gonna pick who we want you to pick, because we want people that's involved right now. We need people active. Don't come in here with that. Maybe I am. You ain't made up your mind. If you haven't made up your mind, 3.5 years, you ain't gonna change your mind. So I look at it like just action is what we need now. Voters should be requesting ballots about 2 weeks early but by the mail being intentionally slow, I say try 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Just start a little earlier if you can. As soon as they let you register for it, you should go ahead on and do it, because there are going to be attempts to slow this thing down like never before this year. Remember back in the day when they had the hanging chad and all that with the mail-in ballots? Well, I think we're going to have maybe even a legal challenge to this election. Trump's already putting it out there that he feels like it's going to be a lot of fraud, which there's no evidence of, but I think he's planting the seed to challenge it, just in case he loses, which I think he knows he's kind of behind right now.
Yeah, I definitely see all of that happening. Just backtracking a little bit, like I said earlier, when you talk about the numbers, it depends on what states they're polling at and how they're polling, because if it's a state that he's favored to win, you know what I mean? Yeah, he'll be up 20 points or whatever. And that can be shaved off depending on if people are being sincere and honest. And also if the mail system does work correctly. So I definitely understand what you're saying, but I'll be honest with you. I see possibilities in all of that when it comes to the mail and understanding basically what's going on with that. There's a strong possibility. So we do have to basically do both. We have to be able to get out and vote. The people who are healthy, the people who can stand in line, wear masks, you have to definitely do that. Expect the seniors to mail in their ballots.
Yeah.
The most. You know what I mean? And make sure that we take it. Maybe we need to take it straight to the post office and don't put it in the mailbox. Maybe they need to have a special box right there in the post office. Don't drop it in the mailbox. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, the mailbox can be locked up. You know what I'm saying? You might not be able to get to it. It might be best that you just take it to the post office, And so I can see him definitely setting up a challenge to that. And it will be another 2,000 with something like the Chad situation. Was it legit? Is this vote legitimate? Our ballot's going to get lost in the mail.
Right.
Our ballot's going to get wet, destroyed. It happens. Fraud like this happens all over.
Be ready for all of that. Be ready for all of that. I think all of that's on the table right now with the moves that Trump is making. He's willing to hold back funding to the post office. I think he's willing to get a bunch of lawyers to go into court. I think he's willing to even suspend the election if he can find a constitutional scholar to, validate it. I've been hearing stories about secret powers that the president have that's on the books that nobody talks about, and now they all of a sudden talking about it. So there's so many different things that could be put on the table right now to suppress this effort to get him out of office. So I think that the most the Black community can do is secure that for our candidate, to make sure that we come out in record numbers, even higher than Obama did. Because, once we got Obama on board and we knew we was heading that direction, the whole election was over by what, 9 o'clock, 8:30? It was early that first time. We knew before midnight what was up. And it was So I would like to see this one kind of go that way, where there's so much participation, even with mail-in ballots, that you can see the handwriting on the wall by the end of October. You can really see the direction it's headed in. I'm hoping that's the way it goes. But we're talking about the Get Out the Vote edition of the McGraw Report. I'm Harry McGraw, your host. I got Bill Riley on the line with me from VON, the Kendall Moore Show. He's one of the co-stars of the Kendall Moore Show. He does radio, I do TV, but you can see he got that pretty face for TV. He can do TV.
If I got a pretty face, I'm okay. I'm all right.
He got a face for radio. I put it like that. He got a face for radio.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Before I let you go, man, I gotta mention, some of the stuff that's going on with the movement. How do you think the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor incidents, all the things that's going on across the country. How do you think that's going to affect the election?
Uh, you know, that's a funny animal right there, because you know it's young people. Young people generally don't vote. Um, they generally don't vote. You know, by a certain age, like until they're like 30, 32. You know, or until they generally ascertain some type of responsibility. You're a property owner, you're a parent. You know, education, taxes.
Yeah,
That's a funny animal. You know, I would hope that the young people would think about this situation really carefully and come out and vote and support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. What can I say? You know, we don't need another situation like in 2000 where I forget the gentleman's name who's running against Al Gore, and his people decided they weren't going to vote. Ralph Nader. And
yeah,
then what happened 16 years later is Hillary Clinton, you know,
right.
burnt the burners, you know, and they decided they weren't going to vote. But I do think that young black people, they need to begin to be part of the process. They don't understand that your vote is money. Just like the census is money, your vote is money. You know, so you need to vote, because the more votes that you have in your district, in your ward, in your state, that's more funding that can come in for you. They look at bodies as money, you know.
Right.
And plus, if I am an elected official and I see all of these people voting for me, I have more legislative power to go to a fellow alderman, a fellow congressman, or whatever, even my governor and the president, say, look, even we're both Democrats. My people over here, they need this particular funding. They are dedicated. These are the numbers that I have. I have 50,000 people solid, you know, that are voting solidly. And that's, you know, they're going to throw money into that campaign, into that community, to make sure that you stay loyal. So that's why it's important to vote. You know, that's why it's important to do the census, and to not just vote, but to be consistent across the board. Don't just vote for the presidency, then you don't vote for your governor, then you don't vote for the congressman,
attorney, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've known people that just vote for the presidency and then they don't vote for anything else. And I'm like, nah, you have to do it in succession in the people who they work with.
Yeah, and there's a major push around the country to see more involvement with young people. We want to see more young people get out there and vote, not just with the protests, because we've seen provocateurs turn those peaceful protests into looting and rioting, and it's become a criminal element in some places. So we want to kind of encourage them to take your actions seriously with voting too. That's another non-violent way to affect change in your community. So getting out the vote and the young people is very important. I want to thank my co-host today, William Riley, for joining me on the show, man. I really appreciate you, man. And we're going to do this again one day. Hopefully I can get you in the studio when all this Corona stuff is over with, man.
Oh, man, I hear you. I understand.
That's what we can do right now under the circumstances. But
that's all right. That's all right. I enjoyed talking to you.
We're going to keep getting that message out. We're going to keep pushing the message, brother. You're doing a great job. I'm Harry McGraw. This is William Riley. We'll see you next time on another edition of the McGraw Report. You guys take care. Thanks so much, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye.